Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Anatomy of Knitting, episode 80. My name is Erin, and I'm going to be your host. Today is September 24th, 2015, and I'm coming to you from a relatively nice day here in Cork, Ireland. I have one of my co-hosts here, Ari, and it's been a few weeks since I last spoke to everybody, right? Yeah. So my husband and the boys and I went to Disneyland Paris last week. So I didn't record last week, and we had a pretty good time. In this episode, we're going to do a week in review, right? Yeah. We're going to talk about what's on the needles, and then I've got a needle adjacent project. I don't have a bunch of stuff, considering it's been a 2-week break. And that's mainly because, well, I was gone and I didn't really have as much time to do my knitting and spinning and sewing. So, this cat. Sweetie, lay down. Thank you. So, let's get started. Week in review. It will be 2 weeks ago from this upcoming Saturday. So I went to my Irish Patchwork Society meeting on the Saturday, and excuse me. And my husband came to pick me up, and then we just drove straight to the I'm having a brain fart. We drove straight to the ferry. We went to Ross Clare. What? You're being so funny. We went to Ross Clare, Ireland, which is over in Wexford. And so it's about a 3-hour drive from here. The boys did pretty well. We only had to pull out the iPads for the last little bit for some electronic entertainment. Apparently I need to drink my tea because I'm yawning. I have my berries. Let's see. We got on the ferry, and Malcolm was really excited to look out the window. There's this great picture of him standing up in the windowsill, kind of with me, making sure he doesn't fall. And he just had so much fun looking out the window. Sweetie pie, I'm sorry. Thank you. And it was late in the afternoon. The ferry was scheduled to leave at about 4:30, but I don't think it left until about 5 or 5:30. It was pretty late leaving, and it was an overnight ferry to Cherbourg, France. So we decided that we were going to try and find something to eat, which ended up being a bit of an adventure because the little buffet area had a huge line, and the boys weren't really into waiting in lines at that point. They hadn't had their usual nap. It seems that it's a common thread that when we have a travel day, when we travel in the car, they don't get their naps. So, sweetie pie, I love you. Let's get down. Thank you. So we had the plan that we had 2 separate rooms. And we had the plan to put the boys in one room and then my husband and I in the other room. But the baby monitor that we brought, we have an app on our phone. Let me see if I can show it to you because it's actually a pretty good app. It's called Cloud Baby Monitor. And it uses Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to connect to the monitor. And we have a video monitor upstairs it was a Motorola MPB36, which I loved until my husband dropped it on the tile floor. And now it only shows video, but I guess the little sound component fell off the motherboard. Anyway, so you can choose to have your phone be a child unit or a parent unit. Because we have the phone upstairs, I choose a parent unit, and there is our phone that we pick. So you just hit the button, and then it connects to Packy Northwest. And there is the boys' bedroom. So it does have a video capability, this baby monitor. However, at nighttime, because it doesn't have night vision, it doesn't use infrared like the other monitor, you can't really see anything. So that's our current baby monitor. Only the video part only comes in handy when we're like if Bernie's upstairs changing the boys and that. Anyway, I didn't actually mean to show you off all the baby monitor, but it didn't work on the boat because the Wi-Fi didn't work, and it was really slow, and it wouldn't have been able to handle it. And the Bluetooth, it wasn't able to connect via Bluetooth either. So we ended up having to change it so a boy and a parent slept in the same room. So Malcolm and I slept in one room, and because they hadn't had a nap, they were so exhausted, they went right to sleep. Malcolm did kind of hold off on sleeping a little bit. He tried to engage me a few times by talking. I don't even remember what he was talking about, but just silly 2.5-year-old things that he was talking about. And I knew that if I engaged him, I would just encourage the talking and the staying awake. So I didn't engage him. And at one point I rolled over the opposite way, and and then I heard him go. So it's like he copied my yawn. It was really cute. But he fell asleep and stayed asleep. And the seas were, I wouldn't say they were rough, really. They were a little, it was like being in a rocking chair, sort of. If a rocking chair was a giant boat. So we woke up the next morning, took the boys to the breakfast buffet area, and had breakfast. And then by then, it was time to land and get off the boat. So we ended up having to park on a level where they had to I guess they have this part where they can open it up and then you can drive in, and then they close it down, and then semi trucks can park on top. So we ended up having to wait for the semis to get moved out of the way. So we were stuck on the boat a little longer than usual, but we ended up having to use our iPads again for some electronic entertainment. And then proceeded to drive to Paris. And I had seen that there was a peripheral road that we could go on to get to Disneyland, but I didn't realize how central it was to Paris. And during our drive, we could see the Eiffel Tower when we were actually close enough to Paris, which was nice. And there are a lot of tunnels in Paris, which is good because my boys love to go through tunnels on the in the car. So that was fun. We arrived. We were staying at the Santa Fe resort, or the Santa Fe Hotel. It's not really a resort, which is I think it's their budget Disney option. And it's obviously Santa Fe themed, and they also theme it with Cars. And if you know our boys, they love the movie Cars. Sweetie Pie, I'm sorry. You have to go. You can lay down here. Thank you. So there's this big billboard with Lightning McQueen and Sally, and we were in the Lightning McQueen section of the hotel. And so there was a Lightning McQueen on our door, and anytime we'd come back from where we were going, the boys would say, "Oh, Lightning McQueen!" So that was really good. They had big pack and plays that we could use as cribs. The boys here use toddler beds. They're not in a crib anymore because almost a year ago Nathaniel learned how to crawl out of the crib. So we used the pack and plays, and they were nice and long, so the boys fit in them. And I'm actually tempted to see if I can find longer pack and plays, but we'll see. Anyway, We talked about going to the park that night, but it didn't work out. We ate dinner at the buffet at the hotel there, which was not very good. I would not recommend La Cantina, which is the buffet restaurant there at the Santa Fe Hotel. It's not very good. But it's mass-produced food. You can't really expect buffet food to be spectacular. I've had one spectacular buffet experience, and that was, I think it was at the Venetian in Las Vegas. It might have been the MGM, or it was one of the fancier hotels in Vegas. Anyway, so we got the boys down, and then the parks were, because it was Sunday, the parks were open later. Disneyland was open until 10, and Walt Disney Studios, I think, was open until 9. And so by the time we got the boys down, it was about 8. So my husband said, okay, you go ahead and go check out the park, have fun, do some reconnaissance. So I tried waiting for the bus, but I was impatient, and so I decided to just walk. There's a 15-minute walk that you can take. There's it's not a trail, it's because it's paved, but there's a walk that you can take to, you go through downtown Disney, and then you go to the parks. So I did that. I rode the Phantom Manor, which is their version of the Haunted Mansion, which is a little different. They actually seem to have a little bit more of a theme than other haunted mansions that I've been to. There's this bride that you follow throughout the ride. I rode Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is super fun and super loud. And they're about to close it, I think, for about 2 years, so they can do this explosive part to it, a component to it. I think they've done that to Walt Disney World's Thunder Mountain and maybe Disneyland's. I know it's been done at one of the other big Thunder Mountain railroads. So I rode that. I rode Space Mountain, and that was fun and different. They do. It's like it's like you're being shot out through a telescope. It's very steampunk themed, and it's fun. The only thing I didn't enjoy is because my head kind of banged against the headrest a few times, and I didn't really enjoy that. What else did I ride? There was one more thing that I rode, I think. I guess not. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Buzz Lightyear. I rode Buzz Lightyear because I love that. So Buzz Lightyear is the one where you get the gun and there's all these targets that you shoot. And I love one of my Disney World Disney Experience bucket list is to get a perfect score on Buzz Lightyear. And that first ride, I think I got a level. You can get up to level 9, and I got up to level 5, and I think my score was 340,000. So that was fun, and I kind of just got the lay of the land of Disneyland. My favorite ride ever is Tower of Terror, and unfortunately that's in the Walt Disney Studios park, which closed. By the time I actually got to the parks, it was about 8:30, so I only would have had about a half hour to check out Walt Disney Studios. So I decided to just skip that and then go straight into Disneyland. So the next day we went into Disneyland, and we took advantage of the extra magic hours, being a part of, or being a Disney hotel key holder. You get this pass that you can use to go in for the extra magic hours, and our breakfast times in the mornings was at 7 a.m. So we had to be at the buffet restaurant at 7 a.m., which is fine because taking advantage of the extra magic hours, that starts at 8. So we ate breakfast, we got on the bus, and then we went to Disneyland. So we rode a bunch of stuff in Fantasyland. The boys really love Dumbo. They love the rides that go around in a circle, and then you can control whether or not you go up or down. We also rode the teacups that morning, and then we did Peter Pan's flight as well. That didn't seem to be I took advantage of living in the times that we do. A lot of people have taken videos of a lot of the rides, like in all the theme parks. So I had been doing research before to just kind of determine if those ride-through rides would be a little too intense for the boys. So I watched Peter Pan and Snow White, and Pinocchio was there as well. And I want to say there's one more, although I can't remember what that is. So I watched all of those, and Snow White seemed a little too intense with the witch, and Pinocchio seemed kind of borderline intense. So we skipped those, but Peter Pan looked fairly tame, and you ride through a pirate ship, so I thought the boys would enjoy that. And Nathaniel was done about halfway through. I had Nathaniel next to me. It's a 4-seater boat, and Bernie and Malcolm were in the front, and Nathaniel and I were in the back. And you take off, you go through the Darlings' bedroom, and then you fly through space. And that flying through space part is really long. And I think Nathaniel just kind of got sick of that. I did try and like play up all the stuff that's in there. So instead of, there's a scene where Captain Hook is fighting Peter Pan, and instead of trying to emphasize how scary Captain Hook is, I kind of was like, look, there's Peter Pan. Go, Peter. Go get him. Get him. You're doing a great job, Peter Pan. Or, when you're flying over Neverland in the nighttime, there's a rainbow, and so I was like, oh, look at the rainbow. Isn't it pretty? Oh, it's Neverland. Isn't this so exciting? I love this. This is, So he about halfway through, he was like, I'm all done. I want to get off. All done. And I was like, sweetie, we can't get off. He wasn't scared. I think he was just all done with the dark. But thankfully, it did not turn into a traumatic experience for him. What did turn out as a traumatic experience for him was I had made reservations at the character dining restaurant called Cafe Mickey there, and the boys were scared. Like I'd been showing them all the characters, but I guess seeing them in person, and the first character they saw was Goofy, and he's gigantic compared to me. So I can't imagine being, that little and seeing him. So, yeah, that was a terrifying experience for them, I think. But, we sat at the table. We didn't even get our order. Like, nobody came to get an order in. And it was just, we cut our losses there. We said, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to subject the boys to this. And I think it was mostly because Pluto kind of jumped out from behind Bernie to like, hello, I'm Pluto. And that set them off. They were done. But it was worth a shot. Let's see, any other highlights? We rode the Orbitron. And in Disneyland Paris, Tomorrowland is called Discoveryland. I'm not exactly sure why. And it's very steampunky themed. Which I think some of those steampunk elements have been brought into other parks. Like I know the Orbitron is very steampunk themed at other parks. So the Orbitron is what the boys like to call the rocket ships, and it's another one of those spins. Goes around in a circle, and then you can control your rocket ship's height. But it goes a lot faster than Dumbo. But they really loved it. Let's see, what else? We ended up taking them back to the room for naps, and we also ended up making it so my husband and I could ride on rides that we wanted to ride on. We took turns, if the wait time was short, like about 15 minutes or so, we'd usually say to the other, do you want to ride this? Oh, okay, you do? Go ahead. Small World and Pirates of the Caribbean were closed, which was sad. I really wanted to take them on Small World, and I was hoping to take them on Pirates, but I think Pirates would have been too intense. We sort of played it by ear about what we thought that they could handle or not. And who knows? They might have handled it fine. They like Pirates, so who knows? Let's see. Anything else fun and exciting? I'm trying to think if there are any rides that are there that aren't anywhere else. There's an Indiana Jones themed roller coaster, but it wasn't that impressive. I like the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland California better. I don't think so. I had my heart set on macarons, you know, the kind of meringue sandwich cookie that's French, and I thought for sure that you know, Disneyland Paris would have something like that, but they don't. Apparently Europeans want to go to Disneyland and experience more America type fare, so that was interesting. No macarons. We didn't really have any spectacular desserts. You know, usually I like to find a fun dessert to have when I'm at Disney, but I can't really. Nothing's really sticking out in my head that was unmissable. A lot of America-themed things. Walking down Main Street in Disneyland Paris is exactly like walking down Main Street in Walt Disney World or California Adventure. And the park's set up pretty similarly. You have, so let me see if I can do this. So this, if my mug is Main Street, let's see, this over here would be like Frontierland, and it would have Big Thunder Mountain and Haunted Mansion, and then up here would be Adventureland, and I don't really remember what's in Adventureland elsewhere. Maybe Big Thunder Mountain's considered an Adventureland. Anyway. And then there's Fantasyland, and then there's Discoveryland. So we did get to ride the cars, the Autopia. The line was just always too long. We didn't really like to subject the boys to anything longer than about a half hour. And there's a Toy Story Playland in the Walt Disney Studios, and we tried to ride the parachute drop, but the wind was always too strong, and but we did ride the Slinky Dog Zigzag Spin, and apparently they're planning on putting the Toy Story Land in other parks. I think they're doing it in both Disneyland California and Walt Disney World, so we'll see. I've already decided that we'd like to take the boys to Disney again. Well, I didn't make that unilateral decision. I think my husband is on board. I think our next plan is to our hope for our next vacation is for in about 2 years, and we'll be going to Disneyland California because the boys again are really into cars, and I would love to take them to Radiator Springs. There's a Cars themed ride at the Walt Disney Studios Park, which we rode, and there's what I would expect to be a life-size Lightning McQueen and Mater. I actually don't know, there's no like, I mean, they're cartoons, so you can't say life-size, but I would assume it's life-size because it's a big car. Anyway, whatever. We had fun. We did some stuff around Normandy on the last day and then caught the ferry back, and it was not a vacation. It was a lot of work, but it was fun, and we're already planning our next trip, so couldn't have been that bad, right? Anyway, I am 24 minutes in. Sorry about that. And I have yet to talk about knitting, so let's do that. The last time I spoke to you, I don't think I had this. So there was a tote bag swap that I did with the Modern Quilters Island. This is the tote bag that I got. It's got these nice hand quilting stitches on these X's. And there's lots of pockets. So these are pockets here. There's 2 pockets on the back, here and here. there's one pocket up here with another one of those hand-stitched X's, and then there's another big pocket on the other side. I use this to carry my knitting on the trip. I think I told you about this the last time I spoke to you. Somehow I got water on my pattern, so my apologies to Amy Herzog. So this is the Acorn Trail. I think I showed you this via my phone last time, how I was hoping to cast on, and I think I cast on the ribbing the last time I spoke to you, which makes me think that I did a little bit more than I thought I was going to do, because I now, well, you can't really see very well, have a finished back. So I think I was on the ribbing when I last spoke to you. Let's see if I can hold this without dipping this in my tea. So you do twisted rib for so many inches, and then you put in a bunch of stitch markers, and you do stockinette stitch on the sides here, and you do, I think this is called a horseshoe cable. I'm not exactly sure what this cable is called. There you go. It's actually, hold on, let me tell you what the cable is called. It is the seed wishbone cable. So there's the seed wishbone cable. And then there is the razor shell lace. And it's not blocked, obviously, so it's not going to look super great. And then this is the reverse wheat ear cable. And then you repeat the razor lace and then the seed stitch wishbone. So, a full back that needs to be blocked. I am doing so there's two ways you can knit the Acorn Trail. You can just buy the Acorn Trail pattern, which is like a normal pattern. It's got stitch counts for different sizes, and then you choose the size you're going to do, and you follow just those numbers. I decided to do the custom fit variation, which requires a little bit more money to make. You buy the recipe for the sweater, which gives you the cable patterns, when you should put in the cable patterns, how long you should do your ribbing for, and so on. And then you buy a custom fit pattern, which is like a generic, at this point it's just like a generic sweater. It doesn't have any of the cable patterns in it, so imagine that you would just be making a stockinette stitch sweater. And she gives you a bunch of, you're supposed to choose a custom design, and she gives you a bunch of numbers and stuff to plug in, like how long you want your button band, or how wide you want your button band, and how long you want your the height for your ribbing on your sleeves or something like that. So you plug that into the custom design, and it spits out what would be a stockinette stitch sweater, and then you use the recipe to add in the cables. So that's what I did. I'm doing the custom fit. So I did my measurements. I plugged them into the website. I think I showed you my swatch last time. There's the swatch. And I'd say that color right there is pretty accurate. So, it seems a little long. I chose average fit for the sweater. So we'll see. And then I ended up casting on a sleeve last night because I wanted a break from all the cables. So I figured I'd do, the way I'd knit it, I would do the back, a sleeve, a front, a sleeve, a front. And then that's it. I had knit 5 inches per my pattern, but it's a little complicated working with the two patterns, because I read that, okay, cast on your sleeve and knit 5 inches of this, but in the pattern, I guess apparently I didn't put on the I guess I didn't put in the stitch, the 1x1 rib for the sleeves correctly, because it only told me to do the 1x1 rib for 2.5 inches. And apparently earlier it wants me to start doing shaping. So I thought, well, should I keep the 5 inches of ribbing in, or should I rip back and start adding in the increases for the sleeves? And I tried on the cuff over my the shirt that I was wearing last night, and it just seems a little tight. So I figured I'd rip back and I'd start the increases in the 1x1 twisted rib. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if that bites me in the butt. This is about all that I have of my third ball. That back only took about 2 skeins of the yarn. And the yarn that I'm using is Blarney Woolen Mills Donegal Tweed Hand Knitting Wool, made in Donegal, Ireland, 100% new wool. It's hand wash, dry, flat, and it is the shade of B4644. Very highly descriptive. So, yeah, that's basically all I've knit. Not a whole lot. Well, it doesn't feel like a whole lot, but a back of a sweater in 2 weeks, I think is pretty good. The next thing that I think is going to be on the needles is, so my husband gave me a subscription to Simply Knitting, which is one of the British knitting magazines that you can buy over here. Well, I think you can buy it over in the States too, but it's not as easily accessible there. At least I found that. I think it's a decent magazine. I don't know if I'll resubscribe after the year. But the thing that I like about actually all of the craft magazines here is that they give you a freebie, which I'm sure you pay for, really. You get like a kit or something every issue. So the one that came with this one is yarn and stuff to make this cute little polar bear. And this is an Alan Dart design. And every issue he always designs a little toy. So it's been like I can't remember. There was a woman, but I don't remember like what she wasn't like Mrs. Claus or something, but maybe she was a shepherdess. And he does these really highly detailed dolls. They're really cool looking. I haven't made any of them because I don't know. They always seem really highly detailed, but this one seems pretty achievable. And they do give you the yarn. This was the kit to make the polar bear. So this big one here is like a cream color for the polar bear, and then you've got the black, white, and red for the mittens and I guess socks and the Santa outfit. So yeah, that should be fun. This is probably going to be my needle adjacent project. I don't know who I'll give it to for Christmas, but I think it would be cute. Yeah, so then they give you the pattern here. And he always does these cute little details, like all these extra things to stitch. Yeah, so, yeah, we'll see. Yes, you make a head, you make 2 legs, you make a body, you make a nose, you make ears, you make a tail. I mean, that's just, seems like a lot of pieces. I like, I did the elephant from Isolde, Elijah the elephant, I think, and he was fun to make, because there wasn't a lot of pieces that you had to sew on. It was all kind of done, while you knit the elephant. Let's see. that's about it, I think, for all of the knitting. I haven't done any spinning, and the sewing has been very limited. I am working on Halloween costumes. I'm starting quite late this year. Usually I would have already made my Halloween costume, but I haven't made anybody's Halloween costumes yet. We're going to be Mario. The boys are going to be Mario and Luigi. I'm going to be Princess Peach, and my husband's going to be Bowser, which is the big bad from the first one. So he's like this dragon turtle hybrid. I'm not even exactly sure if that's what he is, but he's actually pretty cool looking. There's this miniature, or not miniature, there's this child version of the costume that I've seen online, and so I'm going to kind of follow their directions, but make it my husband's size. We'll see. I do have a pattern that I have to make a bodysuit for him, and he was the Cowardly Lion the first year that the boys were with us, so I'm going to use that kind of bodysuit pattern to make his bodysuit, and then I have to make a shell and a headdress and a tail, so I'll have to draft those on my own, and we'll see how that goes. So I had to make some adjustments for my pattern, because I am differently sized from the sewing patterns that are available. So I made the adjustments that I needed to, and I cut out a muslin, and I meant to sew the muslin together yesterday, but Nathaniel decided he didn't want to take a nap, so he just stayed up in his room and was making a bunch of noise. Thankfully, Malcolm was able to sleep somewhat through it, and yes, but I didn't get to sew yesterday. So as soon as I'm done doing all this, I'm gonna go upstairs and work on that, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. Halloween costumes are the what's on the docket, and I don't think there are. Yeah, this is the last Thursday of September, and so I don't foresee anything in October preventing me from podcasting weekly. So, but that may change. I have a doctor's appointment on Monday for my little basal cell carcinoma here. I am not exactly sure what's going to happen with that. The appointment's at like 5:10, which is really weird. So maybe they're just going to try and freeze it off. But it's pretty big. There's my fingernail. You can kind of compare the size there. The last time I had a little basal cell, which was here, they did what's called a Mohs procedure and cut it out, and you can kind of see a little scar right there, which is what I would prefer that they do with this. But I've heard that the main treatment here is freezing, which I wouldn't be super excited about, but whatever. So we'll see what happens with that, with my appointment on Monday. I don't know if I'll have another appointment or not. Medical system here is quite different, and sometimes it's not very clear. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for dealing with all of the Disneyland. I know that's probably not very interesting for some people who aren't interested in Disneyland. That's fine. There should be more knitting and hopefully sewing and maybe even a little spinning next week. So, thank you for watching, and I shall see you then. And then after I say goodbye, there should be videos and stuff from our trip. So, I shall see you all next week. Bye. Number 14. So this is 11. This is 12. Look what's on the floor.
It's like clean out and this one, the door.
Let's go. Keep going.
This is our room. And who else? Who else do you see? You see Chick Hicks? Do you see Chick Hicks? I see Doc and Mac and Mater.
Here.
This bedroom. What's chicken?
I don't know. I thought Nate said he saw Chick Hicks. Should we go see?
Mommy, you have to go potty, Mommy.
I do have to go potty.
Go, Mommy.
Should we check out the potty?
Let's take a... No.
See the potty.
I want to have Malcolm. Okay. So this is like the... It's gotta go potty, Dad.
Okay, I will go potty in this room.
That is the stop.
What else do you have there?
Sally, Mac, Mater, Doc, Mac, and watch the door. Doc, watch.
Down we go. Down we go. All done. All done. Whoa.
Here we go. Here we go. Up, up, up. Yay! We're going up high. Whoa, Malcolm. You ready to go down?
Nope.
You see Mama over there? Can you wave to Mama?
Hi.
And lift your arm up. Look at the rainbow.
Rainbow.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Going down. And we're going up. Here we go. Up, 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 up. Up, 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 up. Up, 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 up.
Veuillez rester assis jusqu'à l'arrêt complet de Dumbo.
It's chasing Mommy.
Mis à bord. Veuillez descendre et vous diriger vers la porte de la proche.
Here we go. We're coming down. All done.
the jewels. Well, there's the other Look, there's the pigeon.
The pigeon wants a hot dog.
No, they don't see them. Stop the boats. The boats keep going.
Do you want to go ride the train?
There's the castle.
What's that? What is that, Malcolm?
What is that animal? It's a bear.
It's a bear.
I don't think he wants to go that close.
Is that a sheep?
That's a sheep.
That's a sheep.
That's a sheep.